Welcome to our little live feed with Mark Wardill, the manager of, Wardill Motorcycle Company. Something that we will be delving into all through the show tonight. Thank you for joining us, Mark.
That's all right. Thank you for inviting me.
It's lucky you turned up.
I know, isn't it?
But so we're just going to go through some questions and answers later on. We're also going to be showing a short film that Mark has put together, and the crew around us. It's a very good film, actually. I had a little brief look at it earlier.
I saw the scene in your eye.
I know, I almost welled up. No, I did well up. I thought it was exceptional. So we also got, it's not a competition. What was it you mentioned?
It's an offer. It's something just a bit special to, to showcase the bike. So we'll talk about that later on, but yeah.
So that is the golden ticket or something that we've arranged. So we're going to have a little look at the film shortly, and then afterwards hopefully get some questions from you all. Mark will do his best to answer them. I will do my best to keep staring at him and make him feel as uncomfortable as possible. So hopefully we do well. We will be stumbling. We're not professionals, so we will be trying our very best to try and get through this tonight. I'm probably dodging a lot of things and forgetting what I should have done earlier. But so we'll be watching the film first and then questions and answers, I assume.
Yeah, so I'll just give a bit of an introduction.
Yeah, you give an introduction, that's what we need.
So basically, just the reason where this film came about, a year or so ago, Steve, the owner of Insight Video Marketing, came to me, was looking for an interesting story. And apparently I've got an interesting story, so we'll find out after you've watched the film. I think you probably is quite interested.
It's not what I'll do today. I'll just build a motorcycle.
Company, yeah, exactly.
And company with it, yeah.
So so Steve came to me. We've spent hours and days and months filming, and we've come up with something that tells the story. It doesn't tell all the story because we could be here for weeks if we were going into that. But it is, I think, an amazing film, and hopefully you will like it, and hopefully you'll get to understand a little bit more about who I am, about the company, and about our history. So fingers crossed you all enjoy it. I know you will. So like Chris said, we're not professionals. We just two guys from South Wales, but fingers crossed you'll enjoy yourself, and we're gonna roll the film. The Wardill motorcycle was made by my great-grandfather in the 1920s. Initially, his father had a motorcycle shop repairing motorcycles and bicycles. My great-grandfather was a very inquisitive nature and technical, and he, along with his brother, then decided to build their own Wardill motorcycle. At the time, all motorcycles had two-stroke engines, and he decided that in order to get the best out of a two-stroke engine, there needed to be some form of supercharging. So what he did was he developed a bespoke engine that we believe was the first ever supercharged two-stroke motorcycle engine. He created his own bike, his own motorcycle brand, and it looked like it was going to be very successful. They registered a limited company with shareholders. They had adverts in magazines, so they were advertised alongside the likes of Triumph and Velocet, which was a big company back in the day. They did the London to Exeter trial in it. You can imagine in the 1920s, on Boxing Day, riding from London to Exeter and then right back, which is a massive jaunt. They did the trek twice and won 2 gold awards, so 2 consecutive years. For quite a while, they had sackloads of mail from all over the world, as far as Wales, Australia and New York, different parts of America. People wanted to buy the bike. It got to a point then that they needed a bit of financial investment, so they managed to get 2 investors to come over from America, 2 chaps called Pryor and Bethel, and it was to be the bike's big debut. They hired the Brooklands racetrack and planned to run the bike on the racetrack in front of the investors. For whatever reason, Brooklands decided that instead of my great-grandfather riding the bike, that it would be better to have one of the Brooklands test riders because they knew the track. So that decision was made. Unfortunately, the test rider crashed it in front of the 2 backers from America. Things were a bit different back in those days. There was one chance. They blew their chance, and as far as we know, that's the end of the Wardill story. Yeah, that was it. 91 years later, I decided that what I wanted to do was to relaunch the Wardill Motorcycle Company and produce a modern road-going version of the bike that my great-grandfather first built in the 1920s. So this is the Kodak box with the 3 glass slides that have sat in my grandfather's wardrobe since I was a child, with nobody really knowing much about what was inside other than there were 3 glass slides. Nobody really talked much about them, and it was only in recent years that I decided to find out about what is inside them. Specifically this slide here, which is a picture of a motorcycle, and it's this that I had enlarged and used as the basis of what is now my new company. The second slide is of the patented supercharged 2-stroke motorcycle engine that was the foundation of the Wardill motorcycle. The third and final slide is of the original Wardill workshop, where my great-grandfather's passion for motorcycles started. And it's these 3 slides and knowing the passion that my great-grandfather had is what's driven me to start my project and my journey in recreating their motorcycle and their brand.
Most of the stuff that Mark has done, he's always done on his own. So, you know, to achieve where he's got to today is all down to him and his own ambitions and what he does. So, you know, all credit to him, you know, he's done really, really well. He doesn't switch off at all from the bike. The bike at the moment is always in his head.
Something I've learned really about my brother is that when he's passionate about something, he really does invest himself completely in the project. And I think just the fact that he's sort of been so dogged about getting it done and just being so passionate about it and wanting to see the bike brought to a new generation, I just think is amazing. Biking wasn't something that he was really interested in the past, but I think the story of the bike, I think that really sort of captured his imagination, and he thought, this is something I can sort of involve my family history and my interest in sort of engineering and marry the two together and hopefully sort of make something that will sort of be rolled out to the masses in the future.
He knows now quite a lot about different vintage bikes, what parts come on them, what size of the wheels, tyres. He's accumulated quite a bit of knowledge. When he comes down here, it's the bike. Wherever you speak to Mark, there's always something with the bike. We can't have a conversation without the bike coming into that conversation, definitely.
It wasn't as if I just took out a bank loan and just said, right, I'm building a bike and paid somebody to do it. A lot of blood, sweat and tears and late nights and early mornings have gone into creating the bike. There's been a lot of determination, a few arguments and upsets along the way, and I'm proud of everything I've done and for the people who've helped me as well. It's there, it's built, it's ready, but I've yet to hear it run. We've got a couple of electrical gremlins that are causing us issues at the moment, so no, I haven't heard it run yet. I've sat on it, I've rolled it down a hill and the brakes work, but so far I've never heard the engine run. So today we're going to see the bike for the first time. It's been rolling road tuned, so by the end of the day it should be rideable for the first time ever, really. I'm excited and nervous because it's going to get to a point where someone has to ride it, and so far it's just been something we push around and look at, but having to physically being able to ride it, just it makes it, I don't know, a little bit more real. It's a bit when you start riding it, you can crash it, and I don't want to do. I don't know, sometimes I just think it'd be nice to just stand and look at it, but yeah, we've got to I got to ride it. So yeah, very nervous, very, very nervous, but excited and nervous, but mostly nervous. So we've just had a rolling road done on the bike for the first time. The bike is running as good as it will be, it's running perfectly. Everything went to plan. Ben has just taken the first ride on the bike because I was not brave enough to.
What was it like seeing someone ride the bike for the first time ever?
I'll admit I shed a little tear. It was quite, yeah, it was beautiful actually. It was nice to see it being ridden. It's got the period feel, which is the most important thing, because this bike is all about how it looks and how it feels to ride. And the initial tests are to say that it has achieved that perfectly. So I think I need to go somewhere quiet on my own and maybe have a ride of it on my own. Yeah, but I feel like it's been a long journey and it's getting where it should be. So I'm really, really, really happy. Really happy.
Lots of people say, you know, what a pretty bike it is, you know, and it is. It's a beautiful bike. So I really do hope that, yeah, it's something that people will buy in the future. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, it feels absolutely superb. Feedback I get from other people, their jaws drop when I tell them the story, and they listen to me and want to hear the full story of what's happening and where it's going. And for me, that makes it all worthwhile. It's been a lot of hard work over the last couple of years doing it and trying to convince people that, you know, it's the right thing to do, but it's what I wanted to do. So it makes me feel very proud. And I hope people sort of like it, and so far they seem to. They've been very encouraging. It doesn't sometimes feel real that I've actually done it. I sort of stand in the garage and look at the bike and think, wow, that's mine, and there's only one in the world. Hopefully more in the future. There will be more in the future. But yeah, it feels good. I think my great-grandfather would be very proud of me to carry on his legacy, I guess.
We're just at the start of it. Yeah, he's built the bike, but he's really ambitious about what he's going to do. So, oh no, we're definitely just at the start.
Yeah, go have some fun.
What he's done is amazing. I mean, if it hadn't have been for Mark, I think the Wardill motorbike would have just gone down in the annals of history and would have been sort of forgotten about, to be honest with you. I think our great-grandfather, he would be really proud now, and I think they would probably love to see that their design has kind of stood the test of time, really.
What I'm doing is taking what my great-grandfather did and continuing on that journey. So there was never ever a conversation about using a different logo on the side of the tank, a different name. And that's why it's the Wardill 4, is because this was the next one in the line, so that's what it had to be. I started out with a one-to-one picture of a motorcycle cell-taped to my garage wall, which I placed the engine in front of to make sure it fitted. And from there, I've created a fully road-legal motorcycle. To be reviving something that my great-grandfather started 91 years ago is quite overwhelming, really, I suppose. It's something that I just decided I wanted to do. I didn't really think of what I was doing at the time. To me, I was making a motorcycle. But yeah, when I think of what I've actually done and what I'm doing, it's pretty special. I think he'd be happy, I think he'd be proud. He'd be glad to see that the Wardill logo is back on a petrol tank and would be flying down the road, carrying people and making people happy.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I only saw it earlier, and I got to be honest, I really, really enjoyed it. In fact, I found it so good, I shook his hand afterwards. An amazing accomplishment. So we'll get on with some questions. What I want to know, though, before we even kick off.
Go on.
So you went into the attic, you got these slides out, as you've seen on the film there. You shone that against the light and thought, oh, I know, I'll go off and make a motorbike. Is that, is that the be-all and end-all? Is that how it all started? I mean, and then all these pictures behind us and all the rest of it?
To be fair, I mean, the way I started, and it wasn't to make a bike. Definitely, that wasn't the plan. It was, initially, I started this off, I wanted to build the supercharged engine because I'm a petrol head. You cut me, I bleed black. But I didn't know how special the engine was, and the more I got into it and realizing how special this engine was, like a piston, an annular piston, 2 conrods connected to 1 piston, I thought it was amazing.
It's super complex for its day as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So thinking outside the box.
Well, yeah, I mean, even there's comments in some of the press at the time that the patent office, the guy who signed the patent said that won't work, and when I realized. Exactly. How dare they? But when I sort of looked into it and realised they'd done the London to Exeter trial twice and got gold medals, that proves, I mean, London to Exeter in 1927, wherever it was.
And that little engine firing away.
With these 2 conrods, it was just
working, wasn't it?
It worked, it proved to work. So I was like, I've got to build this engine. And I've, to this day, I've still got someone lined up to build me the engine. Unfortunately, I went off. So long story short, basically, I got someone lined up to do the engine. We've got all the drawings, as much information as we can. It's quite expensive to get a bespoke engine built.
There's a possibility in the future it's going to be...
Oh, 100%. I mean,
it'll be wild, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
A whiny 2-stroke.
It'd be, and it's supercharged. And like I say, we believe it was the world's first. Unless someone tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
But so I'm sort of, I spoke to the guy who wanted to build the engine, and he said how much it's going to cost, and I'm sort of like, oh, that's a lot of money. And then I thought to myself, I sort of sat down in my chair, and I literally, with 5 minutes, with my parents' house, which we're in at the moment, I was in their kitchen and said to them, well, what did my great-grandfather want to do? He wanted a motorcycle company. So I thought, well, that's what I'll do. If he wanted to make, all right, he's got his own engine, but he wanted to make motorbikes. Yeah. So I thought, well, I can't make his engine because it's going to cost me so much. In reality, it'd probably been cheaper to have built the engine than it'd been to make the motorbikes. But
hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Exactly. At the time, I thought, I'll be all right. I'll just make motorbikes. They'll be cheap as chips. No, it's not. But so that's where it came from. I mean, the engine's going to be expensive, let's make motorbikes instead. But yeah, like you say, the plan is eventually, because it's a 2-stroke, and environmentalists don't really like 2 strokes at the moment.
So say now, would you think about, I don't want to say the words because I almost feel sick when I say it, electric bike?
Yeah. You got to. You can't.
You know, our friendship might have to end.
I know. So many people have said to me,
but no, it is the future, unfortunately. I say unfortunately, it's obviously a good thing for the polar bear, but...
no, it is. I mean, yeah.
So what are we running today then? What have we got in here?
So this is, I mean, there's been a question about whether it's a reconditioned engine. This is a brand new engine. It's not reconditioned, it's not secondhand. Every single component on this bike is brand new. I know we've probably gone off topic a bit, but it is. Everything is brand new. The engine is brand new. And that was sort of part of building the bike. So, you know, you've heard in the film where I sort of bought the engine and placed it on blocks in front of the engine. And the picture of the bike, probably can't see it off shelf, but behind Chris is a picture of the actual bike that I
cool,
self-taped to the wall.
Over my shoulder. I think that is such a cool bike.
But yeah, so everything's brand new, and it's 250cc single piston, 4-stroke engine. Well,
I feel it running. It sounds lovely. It's that lovely little single boop boop boop. As it sounds really, really good.
It sounds period, doesn't it?
Like as we got a question from was it Jeffrey Payne with the controls of the vintage bike, or will it all be modernised? I mean, you're not gonna dig up stuff from 1926 and dump it on you, I don't imagine.
Well, because it's a brand new bike and it's registered as a brand new bike, I have to obviously comply with the current regulations. So unfortunately, you can't have gear levers on a big stick anymore because you're not allowed to take your hands off the controls. So all your switches for your lights, no fun, a little bit safer.
It is, I got lots of stories about that, but letting go in the clutch to wave at someone and realising you've dropped it down to and the back end locks up, that's always a moment.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
so basically it's all built to modern regulations, so it's all, you know, push button to start, indicators, lights and everything else.
And everything's customisable, not everything, but you know, when a customer comes up to you, do they have A, B and C choices?
No, it's like the old bikes are built to order. So I've said it. I've taken this to a few shows, and I've said if you want it pink with purple spots, you can. I wouldn't want it.
I want to see that though.
I know.
In fact, that'll be my first order.
But no, it's you know, because they built to order. We have got standard colours that we do. Black is. I was going to paint the first one silver because I wanted it to stand out, but everyone I spoke to said it has to be black. Has to be black.
I think the black really suits it, to be honest.
It does, and the gold sets it off.
Yeah, the pinstripe is absolutely stunning.
You know, I think everyone knows about bikes. Nobody has a standard bike. You buy a bike. Every biker, the first thing they do is probably change the exhaust on.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because you have to, you know.
Well, they say that loud pipes save lives.
Well, yeah, I think it's probably, I totally agree with it. But yeah, you can have, you know, we're small enough that we can tailor it to your needs, be big enough to make it sort of all professional and it's all sort of designed properly on CAD, and it's not me welding in my garage, you know, with a little MIG welder. This is all CNC machined and, nice TIG welded, and you know, it's proper technology in this. So yes, but at the same time, if you want 3 stripes on your tank, if you want your Wardill in silver rather than gold, or if you want pinstriping on your mud guards, this is what, you know, you can. This is why we sort of say the price starts at, because they can be tailored. If you want a black leather seat, you can have a black leather seat.
Well, like I said, it's the prototype in there, so this is the genesis of it all. So it will slowly evolve, I'm sure. So I would like to go to the suspension, because we've had a few questions about the suspension.
What suspension?
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's a great and novel idea. So these aren't pivots. This is basically a hardtail.
Yeah.
With a sprung-loaded cantilever.
Yeah, there's girder forks. So basically, the whole ethos of this is, I mean, I like to say that we'd like to be the Morgan cars of the motorcycle version of Morgan cars. So you get the back to basics as much as you can. So no, it's a hard tail. There's springs in the seat, and it's a girder fork. So you know, you get in that.
And you've obviously ridden it.
I've ridden it loads, yeah.
How does it feel?
Lovely. You don't get on it and think, oh my God, here we go. It's
because it's an everyday use as well, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's not just for your Sunday. I go back and forth to work and I'm quite happy because you know you've got the modern running gear and you know it's going to start every time you press the squeak button. So
It is, and that is it. That's the whole point of it. I mean, if this was a genuine 1930s bike, 1920s bike, you'd be worrying, oh, is that part going to break?
Full of spark plugs.
Pocket full of spark plugs and the feeler gauge. Is it going to start? What happens if I break that bit? Am I going to be able to replace it?
Yeah.
With this, you've got all the looks and feel of a vintage bike, but if that engine breaks, phone me up and we'll get you another. It won't, because it's a good bike. But if you want to tinker with it, there's a question I saw earlier about what was it?
Well, we have many questions. They're flying past now. It does actually say, what BHP will the frame take? Now, that's a known, really. But like you said, now with the modern engine or the upgraded engine to the supercharged ones, could be a future bigger engine. Not that it needs a bigger engine at all. No, I mean the frame, like I said earlier, the frame has been designed and CAD. We've worked with the University of South Wales, so it's all been one of the benefits of living in a university town. It's been finite element analysis tested. So the frame structural integrity far outweighs anything that we are putting it through. Obviously, we're basing it on the 250. We'd probably have to do some further testing if we were going to increase the engine, but no, for the 250, it's safe for someone like myself to buy and think, slam a bigger engine in there. I wouldn't it'd be exciting for up into the first corner, I should imagine. Well, it's the bike what it is, but I mean, I think I'd stick with. To be fair, it's got drum brakes, front and rear. It's got enough. You won't get on this bike and think, I need more power. No, I genuinely, people go, it's only 250 or whatever, but it's perfect. It's drum brakes. For that, like I said, for back and forth work or a Sunday afternoon plodding through Llandovery, up around there, those beautiful roads, that would give you so many smiles, you should imagine. Exactly. I mean, that would be so nice. And as we were talking earlier, I said about you could park this in a car park and totally confuse someone, because you could park that up and somebody would walk over and go, oh my God, look at this vintage bike over here. And then all of a sudden, hang on a minute. It's got a yellow plate. Yeah. You could sit back with a cup of coffee and just watch the confusion go through the crowds of people. So every time I ride it, I mean, pulling up at traffic lights, it's like you always get that, people looking. Yeah. Parked there outside unfortunately, coffee shops are being shut, but I've taken it to the local post office and the guy comes up and went, oh, that's an old one, isn't it? I said, no. And they were like, oh, yeah. And I said, no, I've looked at the number plate, it's a 69 plate. Oh, what? And I obviously explained the story. That's the great thing, isn't it? The confusion is just gonna lit the place. Because I wouldn't say I know all my bikes, but I've been around bikes a long time. There's nothing on sale like this, and to be different, that is out there as far as being different. I think what's amazing about it is the likes of Honda, Yamaha, Triumph couldn't build this bike. No. Because of the way we do it, and because of it's in small numbers, we don't need fuel injection. We don't need a catalytic converter. We don't need ABS. It's a rider's bike, isn't it? It's a rider's bike. So it's taking you back to what the bikes were. We don't need disc brakes. I mean, how many bikes... Yeah. This is, I'll hazard a guess and saying this is probably the only new bike you can buy at the moment that's got front disc drum brakes. Which I think, again, adds to it, because when you ride it, you do have to ride, you have to feel where that brake bite is and all the rest of it. With a modern bike, you could probably send yourself over the bars with that, though, I should imagine. Oh, God, you stab a front brake on, it's going to stop in there. We had to go through a few different brake setups, and there's green stuff pads in there. And they stop it perfectly. There's no worry about it. But like exactly what you said, you don't get on it and just arrive at your destination. You get it and you've enjoyed your ride. You've taken in the sights. You're not zooming past the trees. You're enjoying yourself. You're enjoying the ride. It's taking you back. You haven't got a computer telling you how to ride it. Exactly. With these fancy instruments, then I can see the old-fashioned style thing, but I can also see an LED screen or liquid. Well, it is a lovely mixture of old and new. And again, that's what I find exciting about it. That's what I love about it. And I also see this cork, which I've been dying to ask you. Honestly, I've been here for how many... What is that about? Why have you got a cork stuck on top of you? With a cork that's now faded. Yes. So basically, when I made my first... We had a hole there. So this is where the headstock, there was a hole there, and I was going to just have something machined with some Wardill logo, which is what we've done for the production bikes. Nice. But when I sold my first bike and I had the order come through,
from Trevor, so I hope Trevor's looking. But when we had that, when I made my first sale, a good friend of mine, sorry, it's quite emotional.
Imagine, yeah, this is a big deal.
I had a knock on the door and it was Amazon delivery driver and he delivered me a bottle of champagne.
No way.
Yeah. So that's the cork from the champagne bottle of my very first sale. So
that is a nice, yeah, that was lovely. You want to sell each bike before into them?
Well, I mean, it was an option. We were talking about it, but we've designed something nice now that goes in there. It's a lovely little brass, which I should have with me, but a little brass.
It's saying back here about the bike designed to be user maintainable. Now, I can't see why it shouldn't be. That is as modern as it gets.
Yeah, it's an off-the-shelf engine. It's based on a Suzuki GN250, so it's a good, reliable engine. I did a lot of research to make sure I chose an engine that was parts available for. It's got a nice oil filter. Some of the engines don't. It's the only thing you can adjust really are the tap bits. But if you want to, it can be done. But all the parts, there was a question from Rick about whether the parts are off the shelf, and they are. The CDI is not a bespoke one, it's off the shelf. Yeah. The rectifier off the shelf, the solenoid off the shelf, the carburetor, everything.
So you don't need a time machine to go park and get the parts for it, obviously.
No, you could probably go to your local, possibly even your Suzuki dealer, and get a lot of the parts available. But everything, we've put a lot of effort to make sure those parts are off the shelf. So yeah, so it's nothing that you have to come necessarily to us for.
Extent can you customize?
Well, going back to what we said earlier, whatever colour you want on the tanks.
I keep on glancing down it.
Oh,
I just keep on glancing at this new shiny thing down here because
Chris,
it's all about the exhaust, isn't it?
All about the exhaust.
Look at that. That's a very
so this is
exhaust.
Our optional extra exhaust, which I like. It's the Brooklands can.
Love it.
It's this is the sort of these are the little things you can customize on it. The standard is what you can see and is what's on the pictures. But we do have a Brooklands can that would give it a bit more. I'm not sure. I mean, this one's not baffled, so I think we'd have to baffle it.
No, no. I mean, you go past and like a Harley Davidson go past making a hell of a bell on the way past, so why not try and outdo it?
Yeah, well, I think you probably would. I mean, I think that would look quite impressive on the side of it. It's.
I think that would look. And we were talking earlier, and you were on about you might custom like almost like a cafe racer thing, but again, this is going down the streets of what the person wants and what's available to them. But I suppose, if they got imagination, they can say, oh, well, I want this and want that. They can come and talk to you, and why couldn't it happen?
Well, sort of the whole point of this bike is that it can be sort of customised. We've got another tank in development at the moment, which gives you a bit more of a rounded front. Yeah. But we're also looking at, I got to check the regulations on it, but possibly doing a model that doesn't have a front mudguard and has more of a stubby mudguard on the back, just to give it a bit more of a sort of a cafe racer look. But again, the way it's sort of developed is, I mean, the tank's 4 bolts to take it out. You could have, if you wanted to, you could have another tank sitting on your shelf if you wanted to, a different style, different colour. You just 4 bolts, swap it out, and
depends on your mood on the weekend.
It depends what kind of meet you go into. If you go into a vintage meet, you take this bike. If you go into something a bit more custom, you can put your
range or the fuel range of it. Do you?
It's a 250cc. It goes. You don't have to worry about fuel in this thing.
I just have to plan journeys by basically fuel.
No, it's fine. It's a big tank.
How much is the? Right, let's have a little look. See, Thomas Barrett. How much is going on to cost? Fly down the road. So basically, asking how much will the finished article be?
Well, these are starting at 11,500. So basically, what you see here is 11,500.
That's a proper bargain, I know bicycles that are worth, cost more than that.
Yeah, exactly. You get a mountain bike these days, it'll be more than that. But yeah, for something that's hand built in Wales, hand built in the UK, there's lots of parts. There was a question about which parts are made in the UK.
Yeah,
because sometimes people they have bits made over and then they assemble them in the UK and they stick them made in the UK. No, front forks made in the UK, mudguards made in the UK, tank made in the UK, frame made in Wales. Yeah. Wheels made in the UK, speedometer, Smith's gauge, bespoke Smith's gauge, designed to my specification.
That is a lovely thing.
made in Wales. Even the new switchgear that we'll talk about at some point, made in the UK. Everything, you know, the engine obviously is imported, but it's pretty much, and it's all painted, powder coated, all in the UK.
Let's have a little look-see down here. I'm going to keep on looking down simply because that's where the questions are. So if you see me doing this all the time, then that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'll just make sure I pronounce everybody's names right if I do read your name out. So this one's easy, Paul. Let's have a little read. I'm into this steering damper, a modern front shock, and a fork. So they're on about the...
You like that question,
I do, because this is something that I always think, because you know the road has bumps on. So
apparently.
Is this a modern... It's not so much a modern take on it, but is this an actual damper, or is this just a spring, and then you know it all gets the compression and whatever happens with it? I wish I knew better way of explaining this.
So basically, if this is a genuine original girder fork, you just have a spring here, and you may have some dampeners that you tighten on the side.
So the fast slows here though, so you've got compression and
it's adjustable. It's a spring with
damping.
but it's got a shock inside it.
Yeah.
So and it's adjustable for dampening and rebound. So it's a proper, although it's a girder fork, it's got modern technology built inside of it. So it is, and
rather than
that's
just having a,
yeah,
it won't just bounce down the road, it will ride.
exactly. That is part of the modern regulations. It has to have that, and that was one of the big challenges with making sure they had forks that would meet regulations to get thing. But also, this can be tuned for the rider weight. So these bikes are built to your. I mean, people weigh differently, so we will be tailoring these. Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm the slim racing version, and
the camera puts on about 5 pounds
oh,
or
well,
something like that.
It is what it is.
I hope it does, anyway.
if that's your excuse. But yeah, these will be tuned for the rider. So yeah, we when you order, we may have to ask you your weight, but it's good reason.
Yeah, and as we've said, the springs are in the back seat. There's no moving parts within the back subframe, so it's basically that's your shock absorber, and then that's your shock up front there. That's awesome. All right, let's have a little look. Oh, there's so many questions.
Really?
Yeah. You've got a long night ahead of you. So I was asking about the supercharger again, but we're talking way ahead on that one.
So long-term plans, I've got to sell a few of these first.
Yes, of course.
But once we sold a few of these, the plan is to, because like I said earlier, I didn't say it, nobody alive has heard my great-grandfather's engine. So we don't know what it sounds like. Nobody does. So I will be building it, I have to build it.
Yes.
And then once we build it, we will be offering these bikes as a special. With that, technically they won't be road legal. But they will be an offer we will be putting out there. So, but they will be probably a little bit more than 11,500, but we will be doing
still a bargain for what you're getting. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
The pound per miles per miles is there, isn't it? So
I think so. Anyway, yeah.
Let's carry on. Let's have a little look. It'd be nice to have a 500 or 600 engine. Again, you don't need it.
You don't need it. You don't need it.
I don't need it, honestly. The bike is super light.
It's 90 kilograms.
So that'll push you up the road, what, 70?
It does 70. I mean, that's 70 the speed limit.
Is
You're
the
on
speed
girder
limit,
forks
sir?
with drum brakes and a thing. So it's not about how fast you can go. It's about how much you enjoy the ride. I mean, it's about taking you back. So, no.
They're asking about production numbers, but obviously, you know, you're gonna when you order a bike, you're gonna have to wait, aren't you? You
Yes.
know what I mean? You're gonna go through a little process. That will obviously speed up in time once you get the know.
I mean, just to sort of, we're not mass produced. They are built. They're the same bike. We can't. The customizing is in the colours and the options, not the actual frame design. But the tank is handmade around, you know, it's beaten around a wooden back, and on an English wheel. I've got just to give you. I've got a raw one here.
Nice thing to look at.
Just happened to have. So this is the next bike, and this is a raw. I don't know if you can see that. This is the raw tank, made for me in West Wales. this is all handmade. All this is all hand beaten. So, you know, we're not going to make thousands
You're
of
not
these.
going to be churning.
I've got no ambition to farm this out to any other country that can make them for a $5.
No, that's not it.
It's not the whole point. The whole point
The nice
of
thing
this.
is when you turn it up in a car park, there's not going to be another one sat next door to you straight away. I assume,
Exactly. So we don't want massive numbers of them.
No.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're a company, but we're not here to make millions. You know.
So what would you say the turnover time is? So I phone you up, I would like one of these bikes.
At the moment, we're saying 6 months.
Yeah.
Because
that's great to knock it up by hand.
Yeah, exactly. So it's 6 months. That may change as we build more, but 6 months is the time we're saying at the moment. And yeah. And like I say, probably maybe 10 a year.
Stefano asks, can you come and, he's over in Wales next week, can you come and have a look at it?
Of course you can. Yeah, not a problem at all. You
send him
get
a
in touch.
message.
Phone numbers on the website. There's email. Get in touch, and yeah, we can organise it. Not a problem at all.
What type of testing does the frame go through?
Well, the initial frame was, like I say, we tested in the University of South Wales. It was finite element analysis tested. So we've tested. It was funny because they do all this computer testing, and they change the different types of metal to make sure. And they put it through the test. It's an aluminium frame, and it fell apart. So it will never be aluminium because. But I mean, the engine is a structural part of it, which. I
think the metal tool of frame is. Where it needs to be, really.
Oh yeah, exactly. So it's all tested. There's no issues with it. It's like I say, it's been through the University of South Wales. They've done testing on it. We've put some braces in and tested it. It didn't add anything to it. So what you see is perfect. So yeah, I got no issues with
that. Who makes the engine? The Japanese or the Chinese?
It's the Chinese.
God rest this.
Yeah. I mean,
no, they've done a good job. It's a cracking little engine.
It is a cracking little engine. It doesn't leak oil. It starts every time. There's nothing wrong with the engine. We did a lot of research to make sure we got a good engine, and you know, it's great. It's great. It works perfectly fine. I'm happy with it.
What's that? And you know, like we said, it's all serviceable.
Yeah.
What we're looking at is a vintage style modern motorcycle. Everything on here you can buy off the shelf. You can do it yourself. You can tinker with it in your garage.
Yeah.
As we said, you don't have a time machine to go and get a linkage or something. It's all done. So this is obviously when were these brought? I mean, what are we in now? 21.
Yeah.
So what was it? 2020.
Well, it's 100 years old, isn't it?
So,
near enough.
But a 2020 engine.
Oh yeah, the 2020 engine. Yes. Yeah, the bike is registered 69, so the bike's a year old now. But the biggest thing for me when we were designing the bike, I wanted it to be as original as I could, but I had to make sure every part I got, I could buy new.
Yes.
It was pointless me building it with a second-hand part that I couldn't buy because, you know, when I wanted to reproduce it, I wouldn't be able to get it. So everything I can get, you know, the speedometer is one of my most sort of, that's the frame obviously is bespoke, the speedometer is bespoke, that's made by Smiths. Where I didn't even know Smiths was still in existence, to be fair.
So is it quite local? Most of the stuff's been milled and CNC'd, quite local area?
Yeah, it was funny because, you know, I used to watch what was it? This is American Chopper, and you see them with the CNC machines, and you'd be like, wow, CNC machines, how cool are they? There can't be any of them in South Wales. And then I tried to find out, and they're everywhere. It's so much technology, CNC, laser cutting, it's everywhere.
Well, before you know it, you'll have a garage full of just CNC machines and welding machines, and hopefully
fingers crossed.
You can get it all sorted yourself. We have to draw it to a close for now. I mean, we could always come back and do more, but the time is the time, I guess. We've still got loads and loads of questions to answer. Mark will always be on the other side of his Facebook page, which is Mark Wardill Motorcycle Company. Get in touch with Mark if you've got any questions whatsoever about this vintage modern bike. It really does turn heads. It's a cracking machine. It's a great bit of kit. Every time I look at it, you know, I'm used to sports bikes, and I can't wait for you to actually, you know, let me loose on this. And then
I'm not sure that's going to happen.
You'll be fine, I'm sure. So so thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate all the hard work. Mark has one more thing to say, and we'll bid you bon voyage.
So, yeah, obviously you're all here, and I mentioned that there's a great offer. And so what we're going to do is, after this, we're going to put a little, share a link to a page on my website that's exclusive to the people who've been in who've come here today to watch all this. So what the event is going to be, and we're planning, is we're having a day where we're going to allow 30 people the first 30 people to sign up. They'll be invited to an event where they can come and see me. It'll be an exclusive event, like I say, for 30 people. They'll be able to come and test ride the bike, and then hopefully fall in love with it, like I have. So sign up to take to get involved with that. Like I say, it's going to be an event somewhere. That more details to be unveiled, but the website is. We'll put a link in for the website, and yeah, that's the offer. Excuse me, I'm not as good as Chris is talking.
I just blab on. I do.
He does blab on. But I just before we go, sorry for grabbing up the laptop, but there's some names that I just want to sort of thank really for everything. First name is well, actually I just remembered another one that I haven't written down by you, but Victoria Mann is probably the one who's introduced me to a lot of people and made a lot of things happen for me. So Vicky, thank you very much. Then there's Laura Durney, who was part of the filming and was superb in organising someone who I'll mention later on. James Clark and John Plimmer. Big thank you to you for everything you've done. Dan at Allus Row for the intro animation on the film. Zach and Nathan, who have stood in the background here, who've been sort of silent through all of this, and this is the most silent they've been. I don't think they've ever stayed for a long time. And then Steve from Inside Video Marketing, who filmed and has been spending lots of time with me in vans and going to different places and having to eat food with me, and he's having to spend time with me this afternoon. So I mean, yeah, big thank you to Steve. And obviously then there's my family, Chris. Who could forget Chris?
I'm glad that's over with.
I haven't quite finished yet. So big thank you to Chris and my family, friends, Anthony, loads of my friends who've sort of helped and have stuck with me through this crazy dream. Oh, there's so many to thank. Carl, who has done, well, without Carl, we wouldn't be here. Carl, yeah, he's the most amazing creative and person. I can't ever forget Carl, but that's, yeah. Sorry, I'm babbling on. I just want to make sure I don't forget anyone who's been involved.
Covered everything.
Have I covered everyone? Anthony, my parents, family, Carl, and Ben, obviously you saw in the film. Ben, who was the first person to ride the bike.
Damn you, Ben, I wanted that job.
Yeah, so a big thank you to everyone. I've probably forgotten people, so thank you to everyone who's been involved. And yeah, hopefully see some people at events. And we are at lots of events through the year, so keep watching us out for us on social media. We really... oh yeah, my calendar. On the page, you can actually request to spend 30 minutes, to book 30 minutes of my time to ask questions on Calendar which will be in the link that we send through. So yeah, so thank you for that. So yeah, do that. And if I've forgotten to thank anyone, my apologies. But thank you everyone who's been involved. And yeah. Oh yeah, we're at social media, Facebook. We're on Instagram. We've got a website. We're most active on Instagram. There's daily pictures, hopefully, of what we're doing and what we're going on. And yeah, so. Oh, last one. Thank you for everyone at Brooklands Museum who've helped with giving me a history of the bike, of the original bike, and they've been great and supported me throughout everything. So thank you to them. So I think, is that it?
Well, I don't know. We've got to wait for the man behind the camera now to actually to nod at us or something.
I think it is possibly. This hopefully will be going live on our on Facebook, so you can catch up on it and watch us mumbling on again.
Oh, we can yap all day about this. Like,
Chris is available for weddings,
I
christenings,
can
bar
almost juggle
mitzvahs.
as well. I'm rubbish on the guitar, so if you want either one of those, I'm your man.
Okay. Right. Goodbye, everyone, and thank you for spending time with us.
Thanks
and
for your questions.
have a nice evening and be safe.